Blog Talk Radio.
Paranormal Review Radio.
Well, hello and welcome everyone. It is Friday night and you're listening to Paranormal Review Radio with your hosts, Anthony Agati in New York.
And Lucy Liebfried from Chicago.
I actually first just want to mention that one of our guests tonight, Barry Hogan, who was the Cherokee intuitive that we were going to have on tonight, is actually unable to be on the show. He actually had a last-minute medical issue to take care of, but he sends his apologies, and hopefully actually we can have him on the show again in the near future. But Lucy, why don't you tell everyone how they can join in tonight?
Okay. Well, as always, our phone lines are open, so give us a call. The number to call is 661-244-9831. And if you wish to talk to us, press 1 after calling the number. If you wish to just listen to the show on your phone, stay on the line. We have our chat room up and running, so feel free to ask us a question or stir up a debate in the room. You can also send us an email at paranormalreviewradio@yahoo.com and check us out on Facebook. Native American spiritual beliefs hold rich accounts of ghosts and spirits, that the dead live on and even visit us. Death is typically viewed as a door into the next life or world and is not something to be feared but embraced. The spirit world or afterlife exists unseen to our eyes, but it is there, and it is connected to our existence on this earthly plane. The spirit world interacts with us, but many are unaware and never see the signs given to us. Chief Seattle of the Suquamish tribe once said, "The dead are not powerless. Dead, I say? There is no death, only a change of worlds." It is a belief that people can make a choice to move from the earthly plane after the death of the body, but is still able to interact with the living. There are stories of spirit guides who appear in dreams and visions to help and bring love to the ones they left behind. Guides who bring courage and strength when needed. There are also stories of spirits who are troubled and feel the need to fix things that have remained on the earthly plane, to correct what was wrong, or even to seek vengeance on the ones who did them harm.
The Native American Paranormal Project, NAPP, was created in the fall of 2011 by Mark D. Williams, Choctaw filmmaker from Oklahoma. Always an enthusiast of the paranormal and the ghost hunting shows on television, Mr. Williams felt the Indian community would embrace the opportunity to watch an all-Native group explore haunted locations. But what would set this group apart from the others is their connection to each location, for he decided each site should have a Native American past to it. So it's more than just a paranormal exploration. This would also be a journey into his people's sacred past. The recruited team members come from various tribes and different traditional beliefs, but each share a passion and enthusiasm for the paranormal. The Native people have responded very well, and the fan base is quickly growing. In October 2011, their first show at the abandoned Concho Indian Boarding School opened to a standing room only event. Their much anticipated second show, where they journeyed into Wheelock Academy, will be released actually in October next month. Mark is already working on a third location. Please welcome Mark D. Williams to the show. Hey Mark, how are you tonight?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Great,
Hey,
great.
Mark.
Hey.
Halito. Chim Achukuma. I tried to say it right.
That was
Mark.
What happened, Lucy?
I'm Cherokee. Come on. Mark, let me just tell you, this is a big honor to have you on the show. You know, I am so intrigued about your film project, both as a paranormal investigator and as a Native American. And so can I start by asking, what made you decide to create this project?
It was really just, it was around Halloween time last year. And, you know, around that time you see a lot of ghost hunting shows or movies. And it was a buddy of mine, me, and she's actually the host of the show now. We were just sitting around talking one day and just said, how cool would it be to watch, you know, other Indians doing what we're seeing on TV, going into these haunted sites and documenting their what they find. And so we just thought, why not, you know? And so within a couple of weeks, we had the team already and location set, and it was just it was really that easy. I mean, also we put a call out, you know, for team members, and the line was just it was long, and so it wasn't a problem getting the team together. And I thought there might be an interest in this stuff, and there really was.
Well, you know what, for those of our listeners who aren't familiar, can you give us just a little bit of history about the Choctaw Nation?
Well, the Choctaw Nation they're based in Durant, Oklahoma. Originally, the Choctaws came from Mississippi, and they may be familiar with the story of the Trail of Tears, where they were removed from their homeland in Mississippi and had to make the 500-mile trip to what is now Oklahoma. A few people stayed. A few people did not want to move and resisted and stayed back in Mississippi. And so now, today, there are actually two separate tribes, if you will. There's the Oklahoma Choctaws, and there's the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians. Mm-hmm. And so our motherland is Mississippi, but I'm actually half Oklahoma Choctaw, half Mississippi Choctaw.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the same as us. I'm Cherokee, and my family is Eastern Band, so we're all from the Qualla boundary, and there are some in Oklahoma, but all of my families we're back from the reservation back east. You know, with our strong belief in the spirit world, it seemed like it was pretty easy to find others to participate in paranormal investigation. Is this true?
Yeah, it really was. And actually, we have about, given each location, we have 8 to 10 people on the team. But there's a lot who always asking me to jump on the next show. And just people, either they want to be a part of the project, like come with us, or after we go, they want to hear the stories right away, or they can't wait for the show to come out. And so the response has been really amazing, and it was really a lot more than what I thought it was going to be.
Cool. You know, as a Native American, our views on the afterlife, they're somewhat different from other paranormal investigators. And myself, I've actually found it easier to connect with some spirits while investigating. So what has it been like for you to investigate?
I think that's what separates this particular group from other ones, too, is the connection that you just talked about. We go into these sites, and the first show we went to the boarding school, and just to kind of give a quick history of some boarding schools, a lot of these schools wasn't a great place for Indian kids at the time. There was a lot of mistreatment, really harsh discipline, and a lot of the kids died at some of these schools. And not to say every boarding school was like that. There was some that actually treated the Indians pretty nice, but some of them had a dark past. And so the first one we went to, Conjo Indian Boarding School, had one of those dark past. And investigating, just being there, there's a sense of connection. There's almost a sadness because just being Native Americans, the whole team is Native Americans, and you're on a site where a long time ago it could have been someone down your family line, that had to go through these times, and there's a sense of sadness, and we talk about that on the show as well, how there's that connection there, and I think that's what separates us from some of the other groups.
So you think actually some of these spirits that are there, they recognize you, don't they?
Yes, I think they do. I think they probably are more open to when we come out there. I know Concho is a popular site for ghost hunters and just people who just want to go to haunted location. But I know there were some ghost hunting teams from Oklahoma that went there, and they were either all white or just mixed or whatever. But we were the only all Native team to come out there, and it just, you can kind of feel that probably they were more open to us being there, probably embraced us being there, more comfortable probably.
Mhm. Mark, can you tell us a little bit about the team?
About the team?
Mhm.
It's about half of them were people I already knew, and it consists of 5 guys and 4 girls at the moment. They're from different tribes. They're all from Oklahoma right now. But it was, I recruited them really just through Facebook. I put this out there, and I thought it was something that just started as something we wanted to do. I just thought it would be a cool documentary to make. And I put the call out there, and I got quick responses, text messages, phone calls, emails, whatever. And they come from Kiowa, Choctaws, Cherokee, Seminole. They're all different tribes, just different backgrounds. But as he mentioned in the introduction, there's all this. They're all passionate about the paranormal, and I wanted people who really was like me, who kind of grew up doing this stuff, who would, if you heard about something being haunted, well, we went to go check it out. And so, and there's that's what everybody, that's the link with all of us, is there's that passion that we just, and we have fun with it too.
That's important. Do you have a lot, are they experienced people, or do you have investigators? Is this like the first time that they're really investigating?
There's a few of them. This is their first time, and there's a couple there's a married couple who've done this often, they've done some workshops, and they've been on bigger groups. And so I kind of named them the lead investigator. But it's a mixture. I mean, there's some on the group who's really never done this, but they've always been excited about it, who've always been interested in it. And there's some who come from a more traditional Native background. There's some who come from probably from a more Christian background. And so it's just a mix. And so, but in the end, we all come together, and we're all just, we all have the same goal.
That sounds wonderful. What has the reaction of the elders of the tribe been like? Have you received their blessing on the project?
Yes, we have. Well, so far. So far we have. That was a big concern of mine. As you probably know, some elders can be very traditional and may see this as we're disturbing some places, and so that was a big concern of mine. But when we went out to Concho, the tribe out there was really excited to hear that we was coming out there. And I think they was more open to it because it was an all-Native American team. And so they were really excited, and they wanted to know what we found. They packed the place, basically, for the screening. And so as soon as word got out what we was doing, started getting phone calls and emails from other tribes wanting us to come out there and check out their location. So at first it was a concern of mine, but so far it's been a good people's been receiving it pretty well.
Good.
Well, Mark, doing some research on this show, I don't have a Native American background. Everything that I've learned over the years is from Lucy, actually. And so while we were doing some research and I was reading up on the boarding schools and the history, I mean, you had touched on it earlier, it's a very severe past in most of the cases of the boarding schools where the children had gone to. I mean, severe enough that, like you were saying, that these children had died. I mean, some stories they've been tortured and there were suicides and such. I mean, it was just a horrid time, I can only imagine, but as a young child. And so I've always wondered this, being a paranormal investigator, that if you are within a location and you've had torment, many years or even days only of torment, I've always thought, why would you want to stay there in the spirit world? And I don't know if you have the answer to that, but I always just wanted to pick people's brains and find out what your beliefs or what your thoughts were on that. Why would a child spirit, per se, stay in a location where they've had so many years of just abuse and torment?
You're right. I really don't have the answer to that either. There's a sadness there, and when we went to this latest project that we did, we went to Wheelock Academy. There's the two differences between the first show and the second show. The first time we went to, there was just a shared sense of sadness, and it felt like we connected with some of the children out there. And then we went to the second show, Wheelock Academy, and there was just complete opposite. There were, we feel more of the spirits of the teachers. It was more dark, more evil. We had some of the team members getting sick and just nauseous, and a lot of the EVPs that we gathered were more males, some of the instructors. And so there's two different locations, and we feel like there's two spirits there, one probably troubled, one more angry. And so, I mean, I don't know really why one would want to stay there, and that's, that's why we go into these locations. There's just an intrigue that we have, I think, and maybe in finding those answers. We ask those type of questions while we're there. Why do you stay here? What happened to you? And so there's that intrigue of wanting to find out, why are they still there? Are they troubled? And so we ask those questions too.
Well, while Lucy and I have over the years have gone investigating locations, we've always heard, the phrase, or it's always come up within either research or chatter amongst other folks in and around any of the locations that we've been investigating at, about Indian burial grounds. Do you think people automatically have a negative feeling towards Indian burial grounds, I guess because of the history and the talk that's gone over the years about it, or do you find that there really isn't much negativity towards it?
You mean speaking like from a non-natives? How do they look at it? Yeah, as a native and as a non-native, I mean, within your field and,
the locations and when you've gone out and you've talked to other folks within the field itself, do you think people have a negative feeling towards it? I mean, personally, I think they do. I think whenever the words or the phrase Indian burial ground come up, it's like, it's a complete shock, and they feel as though, quote unquote, it's evil. But, I don't I don't feel it that way. And I just wanted to sort of find out if you felt that way, that you were getting that sort of emotions from folks, and whether or not it should be believed that way.
I don't think it should be believed that way, but I think sometimes it is.
Right.
And that could be, from just the power, I think, of movies sometimes portrayed that way too. And so I think there probably is a sense of negativity there, or they just sense it's haunted, and it's I don't think they see it as we natives see it. We see it from a more sacred standpoint.
Right.
Whereas it's just a haunted place to them. It's ghosts. There's evil there. They think if you mess with it, ghosts are going to mess with you, and that's not always the case. And so I think there is that sense of negativity there.
Do you find that most of the locations that do have Native American history or a past to it are almost always haunted?
No, not really. I think if there's maybe sometimes I think that they have to have maybe a tragic event took place or something. For so long there was an event took place. I don't think it's always just because if there's natives there. I don't think even burial grounds are not always haunted.
Right.
You know, a lot of families here in Oklahoma have families. I mean, they have family cemeteries in the backyard, and so I think they just view it differently, and I guess they sometimes, maybe non-natives may view a family cemetery like that to be haunted. Well, we see it differently. It's a warm feeling to have your family that close to you.
Sure. I mean, and I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm sorry if I did that to you, but I know I've come in contact with a lot of these sort of quote-unquote negative feelings from other investigators whenever Native American comes up. And this is the reason why Lucy and I wanted to have you on, was to sort of set the record straight that it's not that way at all. And there's some sort of misconception that people have about the Native American history itself, number one, and its, sort of spiritual beliefs and paranormal history. And so this is one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on the show, to sort of, again, set that record straight. But do you find any sort of misconceptions and views about Native Americans in the paranormal field? Have you heard anything that you sort of try to debate or question or maybe even answer?
Not yet. I mean, nothing really. I mean, when we do these shows and we have the screenings, to be honest with you, the majority of the people that come watch it are other Native Americans. And so we haven't interacted with a lot of non-Native paranormal groups. Maybe when this project gets bigger, maybe we'll have that opportunity. But for the most part, we interact with other natives, and so I haven't really had the opportunity to kind of to talk or meet with the other paranormal investigators to answer that really.
Now, besides the spirits and ghosts and paranormal investigating that you do you or your group believe in any other paranormal areas like UFOs or Bigfoot? I think there's the UFO topic hasn't come up, but the Bigfoot has. With a few of us, we talked about it. There are some tribes that actually Bigfoot is a sacred thing to them. And so, some of them, if not all of them, believe in Bigfoot. I know, honestly, I do. But that's just me. I'm really open-minded about almost everything. I want to see the facts before I just start, refuting everything. So I do believe in it, and we've talked about some of the team members within, even outside the show. Like I said, half the team I already know, with friends with anyway, and so we've talked about that. And that's what this team is. It's just a group of individuals who are just that open-minded. And so we've had actually a few, after the screenings, the very first screening we did, a few people wanted us to come up there and to do a show about Bigfoot. And so you never know, that might be in the works too. That's great. And you know, your first show was filmed at the Concho Indian Boarding School, as you were mentioning before, and your next one, as you just briefly mentioned, is the Wheelock Academy. Is there a reason why you chose to first sort of investigate and look at the abandoned boarding schools?
It kind of worked out that way, and in that I wanted a location to where that it was big enough to where it had abandoned buildings where we could spend a lot of time in, with kind of being a large team, 8 to 10 people. We break up into groups, and so I wanted locations where they could get their own floor or their own room or their own building. And just knowing about these boarding schools, it just made sense to enter some of these sites. And so, and at that time, I don't know if you mentioned earlier, but I'm a filmmaker as well. You know, I make other movies, and at the time I was releasing a movie about boarding schools and about some of the dark things that happened there. And it just kind of went hand in hand with the movie that I just got through shooting, with trying to tell the story about the truth about some of the boarding schools. And it just really kind of worked out, and it's something that other tribes, when they called us after the first screening, wanted to come to their boarding school and do a show. And so I just think there was just it kind of coincidence, but it really did work out. And it was more about at the time, it was more about the location, the accessibility of having more than one building, basically.
Right.
Mark, you've talked about it a little bit, and in the research, we did find history on the boarding schools. So for some of our listeners that don't understand, the boarding schools, a lot of the children died there. We had sickness. They were being forced to speak in English. They lost a lot of the traditional ways. They were actually separated from their families. There was even suicides that occurred there. All of these things happened to these children. Now, the Concho School, it's actually not that old. It was built in 1969, but the reports of the treatment of the children there was really disturbing. So when your team was in there, what kind of experiences did you have? I know you mentioned sadness, but did you, the EVPs, did you interact? Did you make connections?
Yeah, we made connection. One of the main connections we made was with a girl named Annette. She kept seemed to following one of the team members around, and they asked name, and clearly we had an EVP where a girl comes in and she says Annette, and then once she was able to open up like that, she pretty much rest of the night just kind of followed them, and she would just repeat her name over and over. And we made that connection. We had one instance where I don't know if you, in your research, if you read up about supposedly there was a former caretaker who abused these girls, and so we kind of looked for him to see if he was out there that night. And I think he's supposed to be one of the spirits there that did not want you there. He would physically touch you, push you, pull you. He just did not want you there. And during one of the sessions, I was actually approached, I believe, by him when he pulled my arm back, and he basically had a grip on my arm and did not release it until we actually left the premises. It was a painful grip that he had. You could actually really feel him holding, squeezing my arm, and then to the point where I had to put the camera down for a second, and we captured that on film. We captured, this is the first show, we captured who I believe was the caretaker. He walked in front of the camera. You see this shadow walk in front of me just 2 seconds before it pulled my arm. And that was as far as that was kind of a common occurrence actually, because the host of the show, Happy Free Joe, during the introduction part of the show, something pulled her arm. Later that night, something pulled one of the other team members' arm. Something was just it just didn't want us there, and I think that was one of either the instructors or the caretaker.
You know, that's really interesting that you mentioned that, because I know in my own experience when we go to places, and particularly places that have Native American connections, I get touched a lot. I mean, I've gotten touched from the first time we started and to the last investigation. I do get touched. But I wanted to talk about Wheelock Academy. Now, the reports that I read on this location, they involved fatal beatings, murders, bodies that are secretly buried on the grounds. What was this location like? I know you mentioned that this one was more, it seemed to be more aggressive than Concho. So was there anything in particular at Wheelock that happened?
As far as like on our investigation or with the past?
As far as experiences while you were investigating.
It pretty much started from day one. Whenever we started talking with Choctaw Nation about getting approval to come out there, it's owned by Choctaw Nation. We had to go through a lot just to get permission to get out there. When we finally started getting that worked out, I would go there on the weekends and just film, stock footage and just take pictures and interview with some of the staff members that worked there. And we would capture EVPs right away, not even trying. We was just setting up the cameras. I think one of the ones that we came across was a Reverend Wright, who we found out that he actually founded the school. Back in 1833, I believe. And the very first time I was out there, the day-to-day manager out there, it's a kind of a tourist site now. But the manager was giving us a tour of the place, and he was talking about Reverend Wright. And as soon as he mentions the name, you hear on my girlfriend was with me, and she was carrying she had my phone, just taking pictures, just getting some video, just for promotional reasons. And she captured this human growl as soon as the name Reverend Wright was mentioned, and you could just tell he was angry that we were even talking about him. And ever since when I stepped on those grounds, the staff members told me they started hearing a lot more stuff. They started coming. They would hear a girl scream in one of the buildings. There was a male that would start talking to them. And as soon as the team finally went out there, it was pretty much a collective agreement that we all they felt the presence. They felt it was a dark place. And like I said, some of them got sick. Two of the girls got sick. One got so nauseous that she had to walk away from one of the sessions. We was taking pictures of our EVP sessions. We went to the basement that you was talking about where the girls are supposed to be buried. And it was in one of the photos, as we're getting deeper into the basement, there's an orb on her, then there's two, then there's four, and then when we get to the very middle of the basement, there are just 20 to 30 orbs all around her, and that's when she just got so sick and that she had to leave. We kept hearing a woman scream, or maybe it was a girl, and nobody could pinpoint where it came from, and this happened all night. And we found out later from the staff that started happening about 2 weeks prior. And it was we captured a lot of EVPs. Well, not really EVPs. Furniture started moving. We would be doing an EVP session in one of the buildings, and you would just hear a girl crying in the hallway. Some of the classrooms have some desks and just old shelves still in there, and you just hear them sliding around. Yeah, there was and actually I'm still going through the footage right now. I'm still putting the show together, and I'm still reviewing some of the footage right now. And so almost on a nightly basis, I'm finding out new things that we didn't hear out there until I'm playing it back on tape.
Wow. I can't wait to see that one. But, we've been to a few locations to investigate where there seems to be a Native American connection. And Bobby Mackey's in particular was a place that I felt a big change happened when I made an offering of tobacco. So I want to ask you, has your team ever made an offering or acknowledged the spirits where you felt a change in the feel of the location after you did that?
No, we haven't. We've never done that. We do burn sage. We have a little smoking ceremony after we leave the location, and prior to the hunt, and then after we leave the location. But as far as offering, we haven't. There has been any of that. But and then, just prior and after is we burn the sage and there's a smoking ceremony. But no, there hasn't been an offering of anything.
Okay. Mark, do you have your own guides that have helped you while doing this project or while investigating?
My own guide?
Your own guides. Any spirit guides that help you?
Oh, no, it's just me. It's just me and the lead investigator. I would sometimes run things by her. She's been on a lot of these other hunts with some bigger groups. I would maybe just ask her, should we do this, or if we break up the team to this, what would be the reaction, do you think, from the spirits? And she would probably be the guide, if anything. But for the most part, it's me setting up the location, and we go out there, and she pretty much kind of leads it. But and another reason that I named her the lead investigator is she has a connection, a stronger connection with the spirits than the other ones do, and and I think it's because of this, she was the one that I spoke of who got nauseous at the site, and they seem to really follow her a lot, and so if I had a guide, it would probably be her.
Okay. Mark, do you mind if we take a couple callers? We've got a couple people in the queue.
Okay, sure, that's fine.
Okay, let's go to area code 575. You're on the air with Lucy, Anthony, and Mark.
That one.
Hello?
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 Hi, who is this?
Hello, hi. My name's Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Melissa.
Yeah, hi. Basically, I'm Iroquois and Cherokee cross, mixed with some Italian and European English, all that. And I've had experiences over the years. I attribute some of it possibly to my ancestors, of course, because I have a very, very, very deep and close connection with them. Others of it, I don't know. And I wanted to kind of learn, I guess through the show, more about, like what I've been experiencing. And basically I've had all kinds of things happen, including like memories from like my last lifetime, or what I'm assuming is my last lifetime, who is now my cousin by marriage. And I remember her life very vividly. I've also had near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences. I've had, oh my gosh, I guess spirit communication.
Melissa, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sure.
Do you with the experiences that you just mentioned, or do you attribute it to or are you trying to see if it is in any way in connection to your Native American background, or are you trying to find an answer as to paranormally, what is this? Or is it, like you were just saying, is it your Native American background? Are you trying to figure that out?
Right. Is it my background or is it not? Yeah, I would love to know more because I get various clues along the way, and this last time I was told, oh, by the way, your ancestors were, I guess as close as what anyone could figure, are witches. I'm going, oh. So that's what everyone's been trying to tell me along the way? Oh, my gosh. Boy, hard-headed me. But anyway,
well,
I'm hoping that some of it.
Mark, do you find that you, besides being the paranormal investigator and filmmaker that you are, do you find, though, that you may have some sort of sensitivities within your heritage and your past that visions may come to you, or any of that nature?
Well, if not me personally, and I don't know if that would be if someone were to get visions or have a connection that she spoke of. I don't know if that would, honestly, I don't know if that would be a Native American thing or not. I guess that probably question. I mean, Anthony, you and Lucy, you hear what she just kind of spoke of. Have you heard those things before? I mean, even someone from a
and there are also sensitivities to things like foods and medications and any number of things.
Yeah, I don't think. Go ahead, Lucy,
or like the environment or whatever.
Melissa, the things that you're talking about, I think, part of it could be attributed to being Native American, but I think a lot of the things that you're talking about actually could be, your psychic ability, regardless of what, the heritage that's involved.
I've been psychic medium since I can remember. Ever since I can remember, like my earliest memory back at age 3. Go figure.
Yeah.
Well, then I think that's your answer, because if you are sensitive and you do have the psychic abilities and it has run in your family, you're able to pick up on everything and anything. And whether it be within your family and within your surroundings, I think it's just that. I don't think, like Lucy was just saying, it may not be completely connected with the Native American side of you. I think it is a part of you that helps to bring it about. But I think it's all-encompassing because you have such a rich, deep history, a family ancestry from all over. And you've just said that you've had these psychic abilities for such a long time that you're just picking up on sensitivity all over the place. So I think that is your answer. I think don't stress or don't focus on just one portion. I think just leave yourself open to the possibilities of anything and everything around you and all that there is, and just accept that.
Okay.
Yeah, one piece of advice I think I could probably give you, if you want to connect with the Native American side, just open yourself up to it. You have to go into it with an open mind, and the more you learn about your history, the more you'll become aware of things, maybe signs that are going to be particular to you. It's a very personal, individual thing. So I think as you go along, just do your research, open yourself up to your ancestors, and trust me, if they want to connect, they are going to connect with you.
And I have had various connection points, like, for example, this last 4th of July, there was this gentleman that allegedly, I can't prove that it's true or not, I don't know, but he was supposedly the Grand Marshal of our 4th of July parade. But when I met, or he met up with me, or I met up with him, however it happened, I don't really remember, but he reminded me very strangely enough of my 16th great-grandfather with whom I've been close for a very long time. and he was American Indian, Native American Indian. So I don't know if that was him, maybe in some respect, I don't know, but...
Well, you know what, Melissa, I think what you're searching for, the answers are there, but like I said, you need to open yourself up, and as you go along, you're going to make the connections.
Okay.
Okay? But thank
All right,
you
Melissa.
for calling.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Do we have any other callers, Lucy?
Yeah, we actually have another caller. Let's see. We've got area code 316. Hi. You're on the air with Mark and Anthony and Lucy. Who is this?
Hi, lower down your computer.
Hello, this is Mary Magdalene.
Hey, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Hey, I actually turned off my speaker and everything. I was so excited for myself.
What's your question for Mark, Mary?
Okay, I don't know how, I just have a couple. You said that you don't have a guide that you know of that is with you, but I believe you wouldn't be able to see the things or feel the things that you do without a guide because it wouldn't be safe. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I think this is where, when I mentioned earlier that we come from different backgrounds and traditional beliefs, and it's just kind of give you a little bit history about me. I grew up not so traditional. And I grew up. My dad's a preacher. I grew up in church. I grew up with a more of a Christian background than some of the other team members that we have, and so it's more when I enter these sites, I probably come at it from a different outlook than some of the other ones, where I don't feel, this is more of a personal thing. I don't feel like, as far as me being, that I'm unsafe.
I'm sorry, can you say that last part again?
I don't feel that I'm unsafe, that I'm going to be harmed.
Okay, but so you do feel safe.
Yes,
right?
I do feel safe, and we have like I said, we have a smoking ceremony before we go there. We have a prayer, a team prayer, and so we just approach it differently. But and that's also to let, and we do that when we leave as well, to let them know they're not allowed to follow us home.
I know this is going to sound corny, but I believe that indigenous people are closer to the supernatural world. It doesn't matter what you grew up as, but I believe because of the history of it, there's got to be a memory of it in your body, in your muscles, your mind, your cells, or something. This is going to sound like a bizarre question, but I've noticed a trend that Caucasians will see and hear only Caucasian. You don't, and then if you're Native American, do you concentrate just on Native American places? Or if there was a Caucasian person in there, would you also recognize them as well? Does this make sense to you?
It does, and it's not corny at all. I mean, I really think that you're probably right in that Native Americans, and this is one of the reasons I created this group, is I think Natives have a keen interest in the paranormal. I just know growing up, when I would get together with my elders, my uncles, or cousins, eventually we would start telling ghost stories. And friends, back home on the reservation, it was just it was something that we all just enjoyed doing and telling, and there was, and then when we do the show, the response has been overwhelming, and so I think there may be a closer connection with the spirit world, but as far as just seeing natives seeing natives or Caucasians seeing Caucasians. I can speak for myself that I've seen Caucasian spirits myself. We had a home that I used to live in. I would pretendly see a Caucasian, an older man, walking around the house.
And I know that sounded like an obnoxious question, but I've been seeing this trend where if it's a white person going into the house, all of a sudden they only see, a white person. And to me, that's sort of very biased. So I didn't know if you were open to that or opposed to it.
Mary, let me add to that, okay? I'm half Cherokee, okay?
Yes, and
I've
love
been
that
paranormal. And I've been paranormal investigating for going on 3 years now. As far as only seeing native spirits, it's just only recently that I've become aware of the native spirits that are there. When I first started, I've seen, I've come in contact and I can feel spirits of all backgrounds.
And that makes you real.
When we went to Eastern State Penitentiary, when we were in death row, I definitely sensed that there was a white man there and that there also was a young black man. I can sense these things, but I think part of it is not just the Native American. I think it has to do with the psychic abilities that I'm trying to become aware of and opening myself up to. But just recently, I've become more aware of the research and if it is a Native American spot. In Valeska, okay, in the basement, I definitely connected with someone that was Native American, and I knew it and I could feel it. But as I went upstairs, I could also feel, the family that was there, and they're not Native American. So I think it being Native American helps you to the point where growing up, like Mark said, you talk with your elders, you talk with family. And for us, ghosts have always been there. It's just like a natural thing. So when I began paranormal investigating, it wasn't anything, that was like new and scary. Ghosts have always been around. We've always just been aware that they're there. It's a natural part of our upbringing. But I think, like you said, I don't think it's just the natives seeing the natives or, the white people. And, Caucasians not being able to see natives, they just may not be connected or in tune to that person, just the same as they may not be connected and tuned to somebody else who's on the site. So I think it is an individual thing.
So it would show so it's basically if you go in with a bias, that's all you will get out of it is your bias.
Yeah.
If you walk in with an open heart, open mind, open soul, then you'll get a more experience. Yeah,
Mary, you hit the nail on the head with that because, and I'm sorry to monopolize the conversation, Mark, but Lucy and I have gone on many investigations with people, and where we've been in the same room, Lucy and I have been in the same room with other folks. Lucy and I have experienced tremendous amounts of either being sensitive to what is around us, feeling, touching, hearing, seeing, and somebody who's about 5 feet away from us, nothing the entire night. And what we had attributed it to was that this person was very close-minded and very demanding. The person was expecting every moment for something to happen to that person. And when you go into a location with that attitude, the spirit, this is what I believe, the spirits aren't attracted to that. They're not there to be on demand, first of all. Mm-hmm. Exactly. They're not there on demand. They're there to seek out as well as what we are doing, seeking out. And if they're seeking out to communicate, they're going to communicate with someone who they know that they can trust, who that they know that or if it's a good spirit, who they know that they can trust, that they can have the conversation with, and that they will understand them. And then you've got the others who, are evil, as Mark was mentioning before, that want to do harm. And again, they're going to reach out to the folks that are more open-minded, who are sort of this may not be the right word, but maybe a little bit weaker, and so that they try and reach out to that person. It's happened to us, Lucy and I, many, many times. And so because we are so open to it, that makes you even a little bit weaker than a quote-unquote regular person.
But if you feel that evil sort of tickle in the back of your, I call it my spidey senses, when I feel that, how do you get the doors up or close the doors up or get the walls up fast enough to where it doesn't come in? Does that make sense?
Mark, have you ever experienced that where you've felt as though you were in a location and something has either come over you or a team member and you've had to sort of do something in order to prevent any further action?
The closest we probably had was this one back at Wheelock where she just got so nauseous and she had to leave. She just had to leave for a second. We had a rendezvous point that we all kept going back to after each assignment. And so she was able to go back there and spend like half an hour just, it was kind of a cool-down period for her.
Like grounding herself?
Yeah, she was just basically and we had photographs of her going through that, and you could just see in her eyes, it wasn't, when she got back to the rendezvous point, it wasn't her. Something did affect her, and she just had, this is the way we approached it that night, was she just had to cool down for a second. She got away from that location, which was the basement, which was one of the most the haunted places at that site. And so she got away from there to our rendezvous point, bottles of water. She just cooled down for a second, and 30 minutes later, she was fine. And so
that's good. And you didn't worry about it following you home because you do the sage and all that, so nothing does follow you home.
And we talk to whatever's there, let them know they're not welcomed with us. I did want to say earlier you were talking about the spirits reaching out to someone that's open-minded or just not take it a step further. I think they also, not just races, Caucasian or Native Americans, I think they can also reach out to males or females as well, because when we were at Wheelock Academy, Wheelock was an all-girls Indian boarding school. And it wasn't until we was about 3 hours into the hunt that we started to notice the trend that they responded whenever the girls would ask questions. And
that would make sense at that time.
Yeah, it seemed like they were intimidated by the males there. And, for the most part, there was a lot of males that taught there. And so, and that punishment.
It wasn't pleasant. I can't imagine it being pleasant at all.
Oh, no. It was a bad time, and you could just, most of the EVPs that we got that I've discovered so far hasn't really been talking. It's been more crying and screaming. And so, and they would only respond whenever the females would ask questions, or whenever the males would leave the room, things would start happening. And so,
one last question, if I could. Have you ever thought of going to places such as Auschwitz or Dachau to see what is there? Yeah, I mean, everything is open right now. I mean, I'm looking at the third location, which is here in Oklahoma, but really, the sky's the limit for this project. I mean, I kind of want to see. I'm open to any. If somebody gives an invitation, I'm open to it. Okay. Well, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. I believe in what you're doing, so keep it up. And that the 2-hour film. Were you affiliated with that? That part one of the 500 Nations?
No, that wasn't me.
Well, you should go ahead and watch it. I mean, it's very good, and it follows up on what you were saying at the very beginning about the treatment and all that stuff. So, but anyway, have a great evening, and thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to be listening very much. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mary.
Thanks for calling. Okay.
Another thing, just when I was talking to you about the spirits reaching out, we had, when we would speak we had some members who, at the Wheelock hunt, who was Chickasaw, Pawnee, Choctaw, and we had some of them speak in their native tongue, and we got a lot of EVPs that way too. And so, Anthony, just kind of go back to what you was talking about. I think sometimes they reach out to you as well, just if they're comfortable with you. And so when the females ask questions, I think they were comfortable enough to respond. When some of the team members would speak in their native tongue, I think the spirits were comfortable enough to respond as well.
You know what, Mark, that's really interesting you said that, because at Valeska in the cellar, the connection I made didn't happen until I started saying hello in Cherokee. When I started saying that, that's when all of a sudden, whammo, that's when my connection started. So, yes, I really believe that, you know, your investigators that were speaking in whatever, you know, dialect that they had to, of course, it's familiarity. I mean, whatever spirits are there are going to naturally gravitate towards someone that they feel they can trust.
Yeah, and especially in a place like Wheelock Academy where they were punished for speaking their own language, we would let them know it's okay. You can talk in your native tongue. If it's Choctaw, if it's Cherokee, if it's Seminole or whatever, we would let them know it's okay to talk to us. You can speak in your native tongue now, and we would give them responses that way at that point.
Well, Mark, have you ever had any non-Native American folks on your team, or have you ever gone on an investigation with non-Native Americans?
No, it's all Native Americans. And you know, I've thought about maybe in the future having a guest spot, you know, just bringing somebody else who's who's interested in these types of hunts or these type of locations, and just bringing somebody else who's open to that. And so it's not closed off to non-natives, but at the moment it's all native group.
Well, you know, Mark, we do travel.
Just let us know. We'll be on the plane. How do you feel about, and I'm sorry if I'm going back to this all the time, but I know this is sort of on everybody's mind, but I don't think the questions have ever come up. How do you feel about non-Native American groups investigating Native American locations?
I'm just speaking on this is a personal thing. It really doesn't. It doesn't bother me. I know there's a vast interest in this stuff, and so now it depends. I guess the location too. It depends if it's a sacred place, and if they just disregarded that, then yeah, I'll have a problem with that. But Concho Indian Boarding School, the first place that we went to, there was an all-white team that went out there, and nobody ever had a problem with that. With the tribe around there knew about it. As far as I know, there was not an uproar or anything about it. But when we went out there, there was more of a welcoming embrace to it. They were really interested in what we found, but you know, again, I can't speak for everybody, but just personally, it really doesn't bother me, unless again, if it's just a sacred place that is not meant to be bothered, and if they're just being not respectful and just disregarding that, then I think that might be going a little bit too far.
Now, I'm sure you've watched a lot of the paranormal shows that are out there right now on television. Do you feel? I mean, you know, that non-Native American groups already have opinions about what they see these investigators doing on television and the production of it and the editing of it. Do you have an opinion from the Native American side as far as how well or how off these shows are portraying that field in the community? Do you have a sort of opinion about that?
Like when they go to a native site?
Yeah, I think it's more along the lines of their methods. You know, I'm not sure if there's a complete difference between non-Native American and Native American investigations, but from what you've seen on television, do you feel as though that they could be doing things maybe a little bit better, or maybe doing something a certain different way as far as maybe respect or even the way that they're communicating? Is there anything that you may want to even give as advice to that matter?
I think they probably approach it the same way that we do. Of course, we're going to have a different. We have a certain ceremony before and after that they would do, but when I watch a few shows when they have gone to a Native site, and I really can't pinpoint one reasoning behind this, but when I would see when they captured an EVP or they heard something, that just the way they reacted to it, they not sure how to really say this, but they were more giddy about it than I think we would be.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's more theatrical, in a sense that it's basically trying to portray it for an audience and not more as trying to find out why that was communicated or have the respect to communicate back and be in that moment at that time. It's more of, okay, this is the reaction. But, I mean, you can chalk it up to production because it is television.
That's what it is. And I mean, I know they're not purposely, or if their intention is not to be disrespectful, but
right.
And it is a production thing, and so I think, and it's not just the Native side. I think all their sides they probably spice it up a little bit. Whereas our show is really laid back. We'll show you the EVPs or anything that we capture on video, and we'll show you our reactions, and we'll talk about it on the show. But mainly, it's there's just a sense of respect that I think that we have. We approach it a little bit differently than they do. I mean, of course, we get excited that we see something or hear something, but
right.
There's no theatrical motivation to it.
Now, I don't mean to sound like a casting director, but I think it's time that there is a Native American, quote-unquote, paranormal show on television. I think that right now, I think there's more intrigue, I think, and I've noticed this from being around a lot of folks, that there's more intrigue with the Native American background, and then coupled with sort of the paranormal aspect of things. Is your hopes maybe to be broadcasted on national television? Are you trying to hopefully maybe bring it to a wider audience, or are you happy with where you're going with things right now? Is that more of what you're intending for your project?
I would definitely be open to a wider audience, and I think it would come down to if we were still to be able to control what we do. And how we approach it. I think what we did, and I understand that there is a big interest in Native American beliefs and traditions, and so personally, I'm open to letting other people, other non-natives, see a side of this, and maybe breaking down a few stereotypes of Native Americans as well. I think that would be beneficial for a show too. I think Hollywood portrays natives in a way that they may think that this whole team is full of medicine men, or or
right.
shamans or something. So, and it's not. We're just we're just like these other ghost hunting shows. But I think it would break down some of those barriers too, and so I would, if that was the case, then I would definitely be open to a wider audience.
Well, Lucy, before we went on the show, you told me a story about somebody who reached out to you. Did you want to mention that?
There was, and I believe, I'm not sure if it was Melissa, but I did get in touch with someone who says she's got a connection to the New Mexico Film Board, and hopefully we can get you a connection to see, get some more support and some more backing for the project. I mean, I agree with you. I think it's something that, the interest is there, and I think what you're doing is absolutely awesome. I would love to see you get some backing and to get some more exposure for this project. I think it's time for it.
Thank you.
Anthony, can I ask the one question? I wanted to ask you,
sure.
Mark, about Haunted Highway. They went to a couple places where they said that they were looking for skinwalkers, and there was one episode where they were looking for a couple of things that were part of the culture of the Native Americans in the area. What do you think about stuff like that?
I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. Are you asking what I think about them doing a show like that?
Yeah, I mean, they just barely, to me, watching it, they just kind of barely touched on it, and it was more about, watching them stumble around the countryside in the dark. And part of my hopes was to actually have them kind of like touch more on actually about the legend, or actually touch more on the experiences. So what do you think about stuff like that? I mean, does it help us? Does it hurt us?
I don't think it hurts us. I mean, again, this is just, I think it comes back to that interest in Native culture. And I think I think it's how you approach it. I haven't seen the show, so I really can't speak on how they went about doing it. But I think this is where this comes back to the wider audience thing. Is I think we would approach it the right way. I think we would approach it to where it'll be more welcome with the Indian community. And so I wish I could see the episode that you're talking about. I could speak a bit more about it, but it's hopefully we'll get to do a show like that where we can go to reservations. We're here in Oklahoma to where we've been going to boarding schools, but I would welcome the opportunity to go to a reservation to where there's a lot more history and a lot more paranormal activity.
That's
excellent. I think we have one last caller, if you don't mind, Mark.
Okay.
We have area code 413. Hello, you're on the air with Anthony, Lucy, and Mark. Who's this?
Hello?
Hi.
Who's this?
Hello.
Hi. Oh, Louis Mastriano.
Hey, Louis. How are you?
Hello.
Oh, I'm doing well. I had a question for Mark. There's a show that's on TV. It's called The Haunted Collector. I'm wondering, with Native American culture, with the totems and how all the, Native American cultures put in the totems and things like that. I'm wondering what your take is on that as far as haunted objects go. What do you feel about objects being haunted or energy being put in the objects, and if they're actually the cause of people's houses being haunted and stuff like that?
It's very interesting you brought that up. I've recently started watching that show. I've never experienced anything as far as objects, haunted places. I feel like it was always more of a location or a tragic event that stays there. But watching that show, it is something I really want to learn more about. Can objects be the source of the haunts?
Right.
So, I mean, that probably could be a question for Anthony and Lucy, too.
I think it's interesting to know, Lucy and Mark, you guys can answer this question, but I think what Lou was trying to get at was, is there a known belief within the Native American community that objects can be haunted, or is it like you just said, it's just spirits within the grounds, within the earth? Or can it be that inanimate objects, are haunted?
Exactly. That's exactly.
I think it's more of not so much of an object. I think it's more of of the actual site and what took place on that site. If there are any remains, and I think that's why these boarding schools have so much activity is not only was there a dark past to it, a lot of the remains are still buried under these schools, and so I believe it's more of the sites more than the actual objects.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason I'm really interested in this is because I know in the Christian religion, you have the crucifix and you have objects, literally objects. People they wear a crucifix, and in Catholics wear a cross or crucifix, and it just seems strange to me when I watch that show, The Haunted Collector, when they come out with these haunted objects. It seems to me that there's some kind of connection. To this somehow. I don't, if energy can be put into, an inanimate object, and if that energy can attach itself just like it can to the land, to any specific object, like a crucifix, for instance. I know the church uses a crucifixes to empower oneself when it comes to the paranormal or a haunting or a possession and stuff like that. It just seems like objects seem to carry a lot of weight when it comes to the paranormal. It's crystals. That's another thing. Crystals. Different types of stones and stuff.
Mark, can I interject on this one? Lou, what you're talking about, and to agree with Mark, part of what I believe and part of what I've learned, our beliefs are very, very, very much connected to the earth, to the land, to the air, to the wind, to the water. So personally, I believe that energy can be attached to that. The earth and the wind and the sun, those are, in essence, spirits themselves. As far as objects being haunted, I don't really subscribe to that as so much as to maybe a particular energy being attached to it. It's like, like you mentioned, like crystals and stuff. Well, crystals are from the earth. That's still part of the earth, and the earth remembers. The earth remembers what has happened there. So I think a lot of it has to do, to agree with Mark, a lot of it has to do with the energy and what's happened there and what the earth has absorbed. The earth is a living, breathing entity in itself. And, a lot of the things that are happening now, pollution and cutting trees down and all of this hurts the earth. And the earth has messages that it sends itself. And I think a lot of us now, native and non-native, we don't listen. And I think that's maybe the difference. Mark, I don't know, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with what you just said. And, but just being open-minded, I recently have been starting to watch that show, and, it's interesting to me. It's something I do really want to research just a little bit more and learn more about it. Could objects be haunted? And so, but if you ask me my personal belief on it, just to kind of repeat what you said, Lucy, I think it is something to do with, it's more about the earth and the location and the site and what happened on that particular site.
Mm-hmm. Lou, if I can answer that from a Catholic, non-Native American point of view, I actually tend to believe with what Mark and Lucy were talking about, and to further that, I think there's this misconception that a lot of folks who are interested in the paranormal and who are in the field of paranormal investigating, they don't know the difference between energy and spirit. And so I think objects can have energy. We all ourselves right now are giving off energy, and the clothes that we're wearing actually can hold and contain the energy of us, of ourselves. But I think what the show, from my point of view, what the show Haunted Collector is gathering is the energy from it. I think we can have an attraction after death with a specific object because we may have held it dear to us in life, or we may have had that around us for a very long time in life. And so our energy is still there. It's still around that object, but I don't think it's haunted. I tend to believe that our spirits are free and they're able to be amongst the earth, the land, the air. And so what I think John Zaffis is catching, not to put him down because I think he does great work, but what I think he's catching is our energy and making it seem as though it's that object is what is haunting the location. But in actuality, if I'm connected, let me just give you an example. If I'm connected to, say, a particular candle, okay, and he or somebody walks over to it with, all this equipment and it's going crazy, and it's reading that, that there's electromagnetic fields around it, so it could possibly be a spirit there or some haunting of some sort. If I'm so attracted to that candle and he removes it, I may go with it. It doesn't mean that I'm within that object, but I may be so attracted to that candle that I may just follow it wherever it goes. And what he does when he leaves the show is he does a ritual and he contains the spirit. What he says, he contains the spirit within that object. It could be that I'm staying with that object because it is so dear to my heart when I had it in real life. But I've heard of instances where objects have been removed, but the haunting still stays. So it's sort of, it's sort of two-sided. And I think again, this is not truth. I could be completely wrong. I don't think anybody really knows what the answer is to, or what it really is like to be, after life, in death. And so this is just an educated guess that I've come up with, but this is what sort of makes sense to me and what I can attribute to it so that I can maybe formulate answers as I'm going along. And I don't know if that helps you, Lou.
Actually, it does. I mean, in both ways. I'm thinking, in a science point of view, something similar to the Carillion. I think it's called the Carillion effect, where it leaves your energy. When you touch something, it leaves your energy, and they can take these pictures, and it shows this aura around your hand. So when you put a fingerprint, it glows. And I'm thinking that, this works in two different ways, either negative or positive. Maybe, a soul can be attached to an object, but I'm thinking maybe it's like a Carillion type effect, type thing that's going on with these objects. In other words, you're not so much as, or you could be, but you're not so much as following it around as you're leaving your positive energy, or your negative energy with that object.
Right. That's right. That's what I think.
Yep. Well, I really appreciate you taking the call, and appreciate you being able to clarify and help me out with that.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for calling.
Well, it's good to have verification. So or have other people's input on that. So, all right. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for calling, Lou.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lou.
Thank you.
So, Mark, where can our listeners go to see your work?
We have the first show on the website up right now. It's nativeboyproductions.com. If you just click on the Paranormal Project tab, it'll tell you a little bit about us, who team members are. There's a trailer for the shows, and there's a link that you can watch the first show in its entirety. And for the second one, we'll be there as well. We'll be posting it on the website. We'll be doing screenings locally here in Oklahoma. But again, if there are any listeners out there who want us to bring it to their tribe or even in a non-native establishment, if they're just interested in meeting some of the team members, I would be open to bring it to wherever. So my information is on the website as well. So if they want to watch the show,
your contact.
Sorry?
Your contact information is there as well?
Yeah, my contact and my email and phone number is on there, and for the shows. And so we will have the Wheelock Academy one. We'll be doing some screenings around here in Oklahoma for a few weeks, for a couple of months maybe, and then we'll have it on the website for everyone to see.
Great.
Well, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
I can't wait to show it.
Okay. Well, you know what, Mark? I want to thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. And for our listeners, if you want to know more about Mark, please go to his website. Like you said, it's nativeboyproductions.com. Mark, I want to thank you again. And you know what? We wish you all the success.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me,
Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for coming on. Hope to have you. Maybe we'll have you on again soon when you release your third one.
Yeah. Just you got my email, so yeah, just definitely let me know.
We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Have a great weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was amazing. Oh, I think I lost Lucy. Lucy, if you're listening, call in. But I actually wanted to touch base on something that we were talking about with Mark, and I think it was with Mary when we were talking about, here she is. Let me get her on here. Lucy, you're there?
Hi. Yes, I'm here.
Uh-oh. I thought you were leaving me with Mark. What happened?
No, I'm here.
I wanted to talk about, I think it was with Mary when, and forgive me if it wasn't with Mary, but we were talking about the connections or the possibilities of when you're in a location and, you know, a Caucasian person only hears Caucasian voices or only sees Caucasian spirits. We didn't touch on it with Mark when we were talking with him or with the caller, but Lucy, you remember the Prospect Place incident that we had, where when we were down in the basement, and for those of you who don't know, Prospect Place, there was, excuse me, it's on the, I believe it's the Natural History Locations, something or other, Preservation
Society of
Locations
or something.
Yeah, and it's actually one of the locations of places that held the Underground Railroad. And if you guys remember us talking about that investigation on previous shows, we were down in the basement area, and I'm a male Caucasian, and Lucy is a Native American female. When we were down there, I had an encounter with a bunch of spirits that were down there that did not like me and did not want me there. And I attributed it to me being white, me being Caucasian. And they may have been, the slaves at that time, still there. Their spirits were still there, and they may have sought me as a threat. But I think they felt comfortable with you, Lucy, because you were a non-Caucasian, and that they may have felt that they could connect with you better than with me. And so even though I'm obviously not African American, and so I still was able to see those spirits. I remember seeing the faces. I remember seeing them. There was about 4 or 5 of them in front of me, staring at me, and it frightened me a little bit to where I actually wanted to leave the room and sort of catch my bearings. But it goes back to anybody can see any spirit. It's just a matter of whether or not you are open to it, if you are allowing them to come and communicate with you. And one of the other questions, or one of the other issues that rose up in one of the other callers, and forgive me, I can't remember who, talking about how do you not let them in all the way. And Lucy, if you remember, I used to call you the sponge all the time, right?
Yes.
because
I
think
learn.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's a learned, trait. You are too nice, too giving of a person, and you related that whenever we went investigating, and you were too nice and too caring to the spirits, regardless if they were good or bad, and they would affect you. A lot of times. I remember, you were very emotional at times when they just, came further than you wanted them to be. Mm-hmm. And how did you sort of turn that around? Because I'm not finding that now in the last maybe 5 investigations that we went to. I'm not finding you feeling that way anymore. Did you do anything differently?
I think the main thing for me to do was to learn how to stand my ground, how to learn how to open up, but be able to put up a wall. And I think one of the scariest things that kind of happened, if you remember last summer, I went to a seance, the first seance that I ever went to, and it was actually in a old whorehouse. It was a place of prostitution. And during the seance, I connected with a female spirit who obviously was one of the working girls. And I could feel her. I knew exactly what she was thinking. I knew how she felt. And me being the sponge, I was so open up that I think I brought her home with me, because the next day I wasn't myself. I actually got mad at you, and I never get mad at you. And it was just, I actually had to call the guy who held the seance, and I kind of had to talk it through. And he pretty much, what he had told me at the time was, you just have to tell them that they have to leave. So as we've been going to different sites, I'm opening myself up, but I'm also learning to close myself. And when we went to Valeska, this was one of the things that I was kind of apprehensive about, because I knew the type of spirits that were there, but I also knew that I kind of had to protect myself not to let whatever entity is totally in. So I think as we're going along, I think I am learning to protect myself and to close myself off when I need to. Because otherwise, when I first started, yes, I was a sponge. I absorbed everything. And I think part of it is because and I hate saying stuff like this, but I am an empath. And I absorb everything around. And even at work, when people are upset and it's tense, I absorb every ounce of the tension, every ounce of the negativity, to the point where it just makes me ill. And as I'm going along, not only just on investigations, I'm learning to protect myself and to block off a lot of the feelings. So as far as investigating goes, yes, I had to pretty much just envision that wall, and I open it when I want to, and I close it when I want to. So if I feel something coming too close, I will close it up. Now, in Valeska, in the basement, when I did connect with that spirit in the basement, I know I opened myself up way too much, because it really did affect me to the point where I was sobbing and I was crying, because I could feel everything that this entity was feeling. And it was just complete sadness. It was loss. It was, I knew that this person didn't know who they were anymore. They had forgotten who they were, and it just affected me so badly. To the point where I I asked you to leave the basement, leave me alone down there. And in the time that I was down there, I was able to, like, regain my sense of myself and communicate with it as two separate people and not just as one. So it is a learned trait. It's something I had to learn how to do.
And back to when we brought up Bobby Mackey's when we were talking to Mark, how you gave the tobacco offering, and Wanda, who is the tour guide there, had said that after you had done that, basically the spirits had calmed down for a while, and many other people and many other folks had heard that you had done that, and also continued to add cigarettes. She said basically she could probably have a carton of cigarettes by now with all the cigarettes that were left behind. But I think during that period as well, she had also mentioned that there were folks that had investigated Bobby Mackey's that had done a Native American chant or played some sort of musical Native American chant in the space, and then that's when they saw, or what came to be on the wall of faces in the basement of Bobby Mackey's, the Indian head. And the chief. And so again, it could be that somehow there's this connection being made because of familiarity of spirits who are hearing and seeing folks who they can connect with. And and that's why I loved having Mark on, because again, we're finding out that there are a lot of Native American history and a lot of haunted locations. And I know for myself, I haven't been able to connect with those folks. You have, Lucy, in a few of them, but I haven't been able to. And I guess it's just attributed to that they don't feel comfortable with me, again, being, a white male, that they don't feel comfortable in opening up to me. It's not a matter of me per se as a reflection, it's just what they're comfortable with. And so you don't see a lot of Native American groups out there, especially on television, and that's why I love what Mark is doing. And so, again, we're all in this to find answers. And if there is a connection that can be made with the Native American past and the history and the spirits, then I'm all for it. And so if it's able to bring about even more questions than just answers, then I'm 125%, 150% backing that, because that's going to help the field. And I hope that Mark is able to get a wider audience and maybe even bring this to the mainstream, because I think it's needed. I think there's such a spot for it right now that if anybody's listening to the show, I don't think there's any, producers out there listening to us, but who knows? But if they are, I think this is a direction that they're going to go. I hope that they would go, so that it can further. I mean, we keep seeing all these different shows that are coming up on television, and all it is just a regurgitation of the same thing. I don't think there's anything new that's being brought to the table other than a new way of investigating or new equipment that's being put out there. I think it's enough already on that. I think you have to connect one-on-one with the spirit. I think that's the only way I think that we're going to get real true answers. Yeah, the equipment and the mechanisms that, and technology that we're getting and that we will get in the near future in the field is great. It only detects that it's there, that there is a spirit there. But we're not getting any answers. We're not helping in the communication aspect of things. And I think the Native American side to it would do a tremendous effort in doing that. So I praise him for bringing this forward and starting that group.
Well, that's why I was so excited to have him on. But, going back to what you're saying, like with the Native Americans, like I said before, ghosts have always been, it's always been an accepted thing. They're there, growing up.
Yeah.
Something happens, my family would say, oh, yeah, that's so-and-so. And it's not like it was just an accepted thing. And I think part of it is, like you said, the family, them being familiar, they recognize something. And as far as we've gone to places where maybe I'll make a connection, but you won't. I truly believe that the spirits can see what's in your heart. And I know for a fact that you've got a good heart. I know that. But I also know that they probably do recognize me, and the perfect example, like you said, was in Prospect Place. It wasn't until I had gone down there the second time by myself and just kind of talked to them and said, you know what, hey, he's a good guy. He is not here to harm you. Can you please allow him to come down there? And then when you came back down there, you were fine. You know, they didn't bother you in the same way. So I think because Mark has this group and because they're all Native American, I think maybe the understanding of the other side is maybe a little bit more stronger. Not to say that, you know, there aren't people out there. I believe everybody, you know, true investigators have that open mind. And they have that belief that there is something out there and we're all searching for answers. But I think, let's say, okay, example, you know, you're Italian. So let's say we went to Italy. You probably would connect quicker with some spirit that's there than I would, because they probably would recognize. Same thing, I thought of Barry Fitzgerald. He goes to Ireland and he makes connections. He can connect, you know, he's had connections like with elementals and things that are native to Ireland. So I think maybe that has something to do with it. It's not just Native American. It is probably what's in your blood, what's in your DNA. I think the spirits recognize that. You know, you're naturally going to gravitate towards people that are, you know, the same as you, you know, that feel like family, that feel that connection. So I think that's part of it, but I'm so happy to see Native Americans have this group, and what Mark is doing to me is absolutely amazing. And if it shoots down a lot of the stereotypes, I'm all for it. I really am.
I just wanted to add that Mateo loved the way that you said whore house. I have to agree with him.
Okay, you can go back in the archive, Mateo, and you can replay that section over and over, okay?
We'll make a little clip of it, and we'll put it on our anniversary show.
Okay, well, speaking of, let's go on and let's do the things we usually do every week, okay? Which is Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week. And this week, I'm looking to check. Why, yes, if you look at the chat room and look at the list of names there, one of those names is Joel Johnson of Burlington, Iowa. Joel Johnson is our Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week. Joel has been in our chat room. He's been interacting with us. He is awesome. And just a little bit about Joel. He is a gamer, which has a special place in my heart. He likes Silent Hill, Fallout 3. He likes MMA, mixed martial arts. He loves ghost hunting, astrology, likes the Dead Files, all right, Ghost Adventures, and, of course, he likes Paranormal Review Radio. So congratulations, Joel. Thank you so much for being a fan.
Yeah, I second that. Congratulations, Joel.
Well, you know what? I just want to say being Native American is more than just being part of a tribe. It is a way of life. It is in your blood. It is in your heart. Now, our guest tonight is just another one of the many beautiful souls that are part of the Native American family. Now, to our many listeners out there that carry that blood in your veins, no matter how small it is, I do say this: learn about your heritage, connect with your past, embrace who you are, listen to the earth and the sun and the sky and the wind. You will hear the most beautiful sounds, the sounds of your ancestors who are whispering to you with much love and strength. You know, you can hear what the dead say to you. And you know what? Our guest next week is going to tell you how true that is. Robin Marie is deemed the Boston Ghost Magnet. She has been clairvoyant since the age of 4. She has experienced direct contact with the world beyond. Now, she's worked on police and cold cases for 3 decades. She's earned critical acclaim for her accuracy through remote viewing. She's been featured on the Sci-Fi Channel, on MTV, Fox, NBC, and the Chiller Channel. And she will be here next week to talk about her new book, The Harvey Boat, which was actually penned through automatic writing. She's also going to do a little bit of photo scrying. Anthony, want to talk about that?
Yeah, and I'm actually excited that to talk to her because I did read The Harvey Boat, and I was actually privileged enough to give a review on the book. She allowed me to give a review, and I believe it is going to be on the book. So I'm excited to have her on and talk about that. And, yes, photo scrying. So for those of you who are not familiar with photo scrying, she is able to pick up on spiritual communication by viewing photos. She's able to hear and see spirits, and she's able to communicate or get communication from the spirits that she may see in photographs. And so what she is allowing us and our fans for next week is to be able to review and look at your photos. And if there's anything that she picks up, we're going to talk about it on the air next week. So if you guys out there have any photos that you would like her to look at and review and then hopefully talk about on the air next week, please send us your photos to paranormalreviewradio@yahoo.com. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up an album on our Facebook page, on Paranormal Review Radio Facebook page. And Robin is going to be able to go into that Facebook page album and look at and review those photos. And if there's anything that comes out, she's going to mark them, and we're going to talk about them next week. So if you have any photos, send them to us at our Yahoo email.
Okay. Well, you know what? Please make sure you send those pictures and mark your calendars because you don't want to miss this show with this amazing lady. Again, I want to thank Mark for being on the show. It truly was an honor for me and for Anthony to have you on the show. I want to say thank you to all of you. Your support means the world to us, and we love you all. Thank you, Anthony. You know what? You have no idea how special you are. So until next week, dear friends, have a paranormal week, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Paranormal Review Radio. Paranormal